It started like all the best horror stories do, on the internet, buried in a forgotten thread on a deep web forum filled with digital dust and cryptic usernames. The thread was titled, "The Game That Contacts the Dead, Only for the Brave." No profile picture, no signature, just a wall of rules and a warning in red. Do not play if you're not ready to meet who's waiting. Zane was the first in the friend group to find it. He wasn't particularly brave, just bored, scrolling through obscure parts of the web at 2 a.m. His curiosity was always getting him into things. He sent the link to their group chat with one line, "We should try this at my place Friday night. Who's in?" The others replied quickly. Tasha, "Is this like a Ouija board thing?" Creepy. Chris, "Fake. But I'm down." Mira, "I don't mess with dead people." Grimacing face. Zane, "Come on. It's just a game. What's the worst that could happen?" Jamie, "I'll do it. But only if we follow the rules exactly." That's how it always began. Stupid curiosity, a late-night dare, and a bunch of teenagers thinking they were untouchable. But deep down, we all felt that tiny buzz of fear. The kind you pretend isn't there when you laugh it off, but it's crawling under your skin, whispering, "What if it's real?" The rules were detailed, strangely specific. Play only at midnight. Use a circular mirror at the center. Light 5 candles, no more, no less. Each player must place a personal item of someone who has died. Chant the phrase, "We invite what lingers" 3 times. Ask only one question per person. End the game before 1 a.m. by blowing out the candles counterclockwise. Do not look into the mirror once the game ends. There was a disclaimer too, written in tiny letters. They can lie. They will pretend. Trust no answer unless it bleeds. We joked about that line later, but at the time it gave me chills. When I told my older cousin about it, she went quiet. She said she'd heard about something like this back in high school, a game kids used to try for fun that always ended badly. A girl supposedly disappeared in our town back in 1999. No one could explain what happened to her. Her parents said she was not the same before she vanished. I tried to dig deeper online. Every link about the game disappeared after I refreshed the page. Like it was being hidden. Erased. That only made us want to play it more. Because if it was fake, why would someone try so hard to hide it? The plan was set. Friday night at Zane's house. His parents were out of town for the weekend. We'd played horror games before, Ouija boards, Bloody Mary, Candyman, but this felt different. This felt prepared. Like someone or something was waiting for us to finally say yes. I couldn't sleep the night before. Not because I was scared, at least, that's what I told myself, but because I had this heavy feeling in my chest. Like I was being watched. Like something new. That Friday, the 5 of us met at Zane's place with all the supplies. A mirror from his attic. Candles from Myra's mom's yoga studio. Printed out rules. Old tape recorder. And the most important item, something personal from the dead. Chris brought his grandfather's army dog tag. Tasha had her aunt's locket. Mira, a photo of her childhood nanny. Zane, a feather from the pillow his dad died on. And me, I brought my older brother's ring. He died in a car crash when I was 10. I hadn't touched that ring in years. As the sun set and the sky turned gray, we sat around the table, all pretending we weren't nervous. None of us said it out loud, but we all knew this wasn't just a game. We had opened the door, and something was about to walk through. The living room lights were off, leaving only the soft orange glow of candles casting shadows on the walls. Outside, the wind had picked up, rustling the trees like whispers we couldn't quite make out. Inside, the 5 of us sat in a circle, the mirror at the center like a black hole pulling our eyes toward it. We had everything laid out just like the instructions said. 5 candles in a perfect circle. Our personal items laid beside the mirror. The printed rules next to the tape recorder, which we hadn't turned on yet. It was almost midnight. Zane checked the clock on his phone every 30 seconds. "You sure about this?" Mira asked, her voice low, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. "No," I said honestly, and the others chuckled nervously. Chris tried to lighten the mood. "It's just a game, guys. We've done creepier stuff before. Remember when we played Ouija at the old train station?" "Yeah," Tasha said, "and you screamed like a baby when the lights went out." He grinned. "Exactly. That's the fun of it." But none of us were really laughing. Not this time. This felt heavier. Zane stood up, holding the rules like a preacher before a sermon. "All right, here's the dare. We follow the instructions exactly. No jokes, no cutting corners. And if anyone wants out, now's the time. No one moved. Zane nodded. Good. Then let's do this. At 11:59, we lit the candles one by one, clockwise, just like the rules said. Each flicker of flame made the room dimmer, somehow. More distant from the real world. The light didn't comfort, it made the shadows deeper. Zane placed the mirror in the center, angled so it reflected the ceiling. We could all see our reflections if we leaned in. But none of us wanted to. Then came the personal items. We each stepped forward, placing our object by the mirror. I hesitated when it was my turn, holding my brother's ring in my hand like it weighed 1,000 pounds. My fingers were shaking as I set it down. The metal touched the mirror's edge, and for a second I thought I heard a faint ringing sound. Like a chime far away. But I didn't say anything. Not yet. Mira clicked the tape recorder on. The red light blinked. Zane read from the page. Step 5, chant the phrase, "We invite what lingers" 3 times, in unison. We all took a breath and leaned in slightly, eyes flicking to the mirror. Then we said it. We invite what lingers. We invite what lingers. We invite what lingers. Silence. The flames on the candles seemed to grow taller, stretching upward like fingers. Tasha whispered, "Did anyone feel that?" Chris laughed nervously. "It's just in your head." "There's nothing," the tape recorder hissed. We all looked at it. It was recording, but no one had spoken. Then, through the hiss, a voice came, low, crackling, almost mechanical. "Who calls?" Mira gasped. "That wasn't us." Zane picked up the recorder and played it back. We listened again. First, silence. Then clearly, "Who calls?" Our eyes locked. Fear crept in like smoke. "I thought this was fake," Chris muttered. "Me too," I said. Then the mirror fogged up like someone had breathed on it from the inside. We stared at it, frozen. Something was here. The dare was no longer a joke. This was real. Suddenly, Zane laughed, too loud, too forced. Okay, you got me. Which one of you recorded that voice ahead of time?" "Huh? Come on." "Very funny." No one responded. Tasha looked pale. Mira looked like she might cry. Chris frowned. "Zane, man, I didn't do anything." "Seriously?" Zane's smile dropped. We all stared at the mirror again. The fog had started to clear, and someone was standing in the reflection. Not any of us. A silhouette. No face. No features. Just the shape of a person, tall and still, watching from the other side of the glass. I felt ice run down my spine. "No one move," I whispered. "It's watching us." Zane reached out to grab the ring near the mirror. "Don't touch it," Mira hissed. But it was too late. The mirror cracked just once, right down the middle. The candles all flickered. And the game had truly begun. For a few seconds, we couldn't speak. The cracked mirror lay at the center of our circle like a broken window to something we weren't meant to look through. The shadowy figure we had seen was gone, replaced by a dark smear along the fractured glass, like something had dragged its hand across the inside. "Did that just happen?" Tasha asked quietly. "I told you not to touch it," Mira snapped, her voice sharp with fear. "I didn't mean to break it," Zane said, still holding my brother's ring. Something pulled back when I reached for it. I swear." Chris got up and turned on the ceiling light. Nothing. The power was out. "No way," he muttered. "The lights were fine before. We tested our phones, dead. All of them. Batteries full 1 minute ago, now completely drained." "Okay," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "The rules say we're supposed to finish the ritual and blow out the candles counterclockwise before 1 a.m., right? We still have time. We end the game and that's it." Zane nodded. "Yeah, that's what we do." But the tape recorder clicked again. The red light blinked on, and without anyone touching it, it started playing. First static. Then that same distorted voice, "You called." We answered. Then quieter, like someone whispering behind the wall, "Don't go." The candles flared, taller than before, their flames twisting unnaturally like they were being pulled upward by invisible hands. Mira screamed and backed away. "This isn't a game anymore. We need to leave." "No." I snapped. "Remember the rules. If we break the circle, if we don't end it properly," another sound cut me off. From upstairs. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Coming down the hallway. There was no one else in the house. We froze. "Okay," Chris said, voice shaking, "someone's messing with us. This is all fake. Someone planted a voice on that tape." "Zane, man, did you set this up?" Zane shook his head. "I didn't do anything, I swear." The footsteps stopped at the top of the stairs. Silence. Then the tape recorder spoke again. "One of you knows me." We all turned to look at each other. "Jay," Tasha said slowly, "didn't you say your brother used to wear that ring?" My stomach dropped. "Yeah," I whispered. But no, can't be him. He's gone. Zane handed the ring back to me. It was freezing cold. The mirror, cracked and fogged, started to darken again. Another silhouette appeared. Not tall like before, shorter, slighter, more familiar. I stepped closer. It looked like him, like my brother. I felt a tightness in my chest, like my breath had been punched out of me. "Brandon," I whispered. The figure tilted its head. "Jay," it said, but not out loud. It was in my head, deep and clear and impossible. "Jay, don't believe it," Mira said. "That thing isn't your brother." I didn't answer. Couldn't. The candles were melting fast now. The wax pooled in thick circles around us. The mirror cracked again, the sound loud as a gunshot. Chris suddenly stood and backed away. "I'm done. I'm not staying here." He stepped out of the circle. "No, Chris, wait," Zane yelled. The moment Chris broke the boundary, one of the candles went out. The room dimmed. The mirror went completely black. And the air changed. It was like the atmosphere twisted, thicker, darker, charged. The cold was unbearable. Our breath showed in the air. Then came the scream. Not from us, from upstairs. A scream like a dying animal, long, guttural, inhuman. Then silence. "Chris," Tasha called out weakly. "Chris." He didn't answer. We waited, frozen. Then we heard him, walking back down the stairs. But his footsteps weren't right. Too slow, too heavy, like someone wearing his body. He stepped into view and we saw his face. Blank, eyes wide open, unblinking. Mouth slightly open, like he'd forgotten how to close it. "Chris," Mira whispered. He didn't respond. He just walked back to his place in the circle and sat down. The mirror reflected 5 people, but only 4 of us were still alive. Chris sat still in the circle, eyes wide, mouth slightly ajar. His chest rose and fell, but there was something deeply wrong with him. His movements were stiff, robotic, like his body remembered how to sit but not how to be human. His skin looked pale, and a small trickle of blood ran from his nose. "Chris," Zane asked, leaning toward him. "Can you hear me?" Chris slowly turned his head, his eyes locking with Zane's. Then he smiled. But it wasn't a smile we recognized. It was too perfect, too still, like a mask stretched over someone else's face. "Don't," Mira whispered. "Don't talk to him. That's not him anymore." I believed her. The tape recorder clicked again. This time there was no hiss, no distortion, only a voice, clear and direct. "Jay." It was my brother's voice. I felt like someone had ripped the ground out from under me. My chest tightened and I couldn't look away from the mirror. His reflection, his shape was clearer now, standing just behind the glass. The same face I remembered from years ago, the same messy hair, even the hoodie he used to wear all the time. It was like he hadn't aged a day. "Brandon," I breathed. The others looked at me, unsure of what to do. "Jay, don't believe it," Mira said again, firmer now. "That's not your brother. You saw what it did to Chris." But I couldn't stop. I stepped closer to the mirror, breaking the circle just slightly. The air grew colder. His voice came again, this time echoing inside my head. "You called me." "I came." "Why now?" I asked aloud. "Why would you come back now?" There was a long silence. Then the tape crackled once more. "Because you never let go." A tear slid down my cheek. It was true. I never had. I still wore his ring around my neck some nights. I still had his pictures on my wall. I never said goodbye. "Jay, you're feeding it," Zane said suddenly. "This thing, it's using your grief. That's how it gets through." "I don't care," I said, my voice shaking. "If there's even a chance that it's really him, then ask something only Brandon would know," Tasha interrupted. "Right now. Something no one else could answer." I looked at the mirror. The figure didn't move, didn't blink. Just watched. "Where did we bury Milo?" I asked, voice trembling. Milo was our dog. We had buried him together under the maple tree in our backyard, something we never told anyone. Not our parents. Not our friends. Just the 2 of us. There was silence. Then, slowly, a fog appeared on the mirror's surface again. Letters formed in the condensation. "The old tree." My breath caught in my throat. That was it. The exact phrase Brandon used when he'd told me, "We'll put him under the old tree." Zane looked scared now. "Okay, that's enough." "That answer, how could it know that?" "Because it's him," I whispered. "No," Mira said sharply. "Because it's not. It's inside your head, Jay. It reads your thoughts. It reflects your memories back at you." That's what the mirror is for. It doesn't show who's there. It shows who you want to be there. Suddenly Chris laughed. A low, hollow, breathless laugh. We all turned toward him. Too late, he rasped in a voice that sounded nothing like his own. His eyes rolled back and he collapsed sideways onto the floor. Tasha screamed. I rushed to him, checking his pulse. It was weak, but there. He was breathing. But his hand twitched constantly like something was crawling under his skin. We dragged him back into the circle. We couldn't leave him behind, not yet. The mirror pulsed again, a dim glow like moonlight flickering beneath the surface. Then we all heard it, 5 separate voices, all calling each of our names. Jay, Mira, Zane, Tasha, Chris. They weren't all familiar. One sounded like Zane's father, another like Myra's old nanny. Someone was trying to reach each of us now. They're trying to pull us in, Mira said. It's like fishing. They dangle something personal, something we can't resist. If we believe it, it's over. The tape recorder clicked one last time. A voice, low and urgent, don't end the game. You belong to us now. We sat in silence, trapped by candlelight, grief, and fear. And the clock kept ticking toward 1 a.m. 12:42 a.m. 18 minutes left. The candles had burned down low, their flames flickering violently like they were fighting to stay alive. Wax bled down the sides in heavy pools, connecting each candle to the floor in melted veins. The air had grown thick, oppressive. Every breath felt like inhaling dust and ice. Chris hadn't woken up. He lay limp at the edge of the circle, eyes fluttering occasionally like he was dreaming, if you could call it that. Every now and then his mouth would move, silently forming words none of us could understand. We didn't speak unless we had to. The house listened now. Zane was the first to break the silence. We need to end it. No one argued. The mirror sat at the center, humming now with a soft vibration we could feel through the floorboards. It was as if something was waiting on the other side. Watching. Mira pulled the rule sheet closer. Step 6. All participants must blow out their candles in reverse order, counterclockwise. If even one remains lit, the connection stays open. She looked around the circle. Everyone understand? We nodded. Tasha hesitated. What about Chris? He can't blow his out. We'll do it for him, I said. Just be fast. Zane lit a match to relight Chris's candle, which had extinguished when he broke the circle. But the moment the flame touched the wick, the mirror flared. A shockwave of wind burst through the room, knocking over picture frames, rattling shelves, and pushing all the candles dangerously close to tipping. The house groaned. A deep, resonating sound like the foundation itself was protesting. Then the voices returned, hundreds this time. Some familiar, some foreign. All angry. You broke the circle. You let us in. We're not done with you. I gritted my teeth. Too bad. We're ending this. We moved quickly, blowing out each candle in the proper sequence. Mira went first. Her candle snuffed out easily. The air cooled slightly. Then Tasha. Hers flickered, resisted, but finally gave in. Zane followed, breathing out hard enough that his flame died instantly. Only 2 left, Chris's and mine. I leaned in to blow out Chris's candle. That's when he grabbed my wrist. His eyes snapped open, completely black, like ink had filled them. He looked at me but didn't see me. His grip tightened like a vice, freezing cold. Don't, he whispered in a hoarse voice. He's here. Let go. I shouted. Mira helped pry his fingers from my arm. I blew out the candle before he could resist again. The house shuddered. A picture frame flew off the wall and shattered beside us. The mirror cracked a 3rd time, the jagged lines glowing faintly red. The air smelled of burnt hair and old earth. Only my candle remained. Tasha yelled, do it. Jay, now. But I hesitated. The reflection in the mirror, my brother's face, looked scared now. Afraid. Please, he said. Don't leave me. He reached out, pressing a hand against the glass. Tears streamed down my cheeks. Is it really you? His voice trembled. If you end it. I go back. Alone. I couldn't move. The others shouted, but their words drowned beneath the roar that was building in the house. A howling, windless sound like 1,000 screams layered over each other. Jay. Mira grabbed my shoulder. If you keep it open, he takes your place. You know that, right? I turned to her, shaken. What if it really is him? What if it's not? That question hit harder than anything. I looked back at the mirror one last time. Brandon's face had changed just slightly. The smile had returned, that wrong smile, stretched too wide. His eyes flickered with something dark and endless. My grief had been bait. I sucked in a breath and blew out the final candle. Darkness slammed into the room like a wall. The mirror exploded. Glass rained down around us, slicing into our arms, our faces. We hit the floor, shielding our eyes. Then, silence. Real silence. The air lost its weight. The room felt normal again. The floorboards stopped creaking. No more voices. No more wind. We sat there for a long time, not speaking. Not moving. Chris coughed. And slowly, finally, opened his eyes. They were normal again. What happened? He mumbled. You don't want to know, Zane said, slumping to the ground. I looked at the shattered mirror. Among the shards, I found my brother's ring. Still cold. But now, just metal. The next morning was eerily quiet. The storm had passed overnight, and sunlight filtered through the broken blinds of Myra's living room, illuminating the destruction. The floor was scattered with shattered mirror glass, melted wax, and blood-streaked cloth from where we'd bandaged our cuts. None of us had slept. Chris sat with his back to the wall, still pale, rubbing his temples like he was nursing the worst headache of his life. He didn't remember anything after standing up and leaving the circle. It's all just blank, he said, voice hoarse. Like someone turned off the lights in my brain. Tasha sat on the couch wrapped in a blanket, her hands shaking even though the room was warm again. I kept hearing her voice, she whispered. My grandma. She's been dead 10 years, but last night, she told me things. Things she couldn't have known if she wasn't real. She looked at us with red, puffy eyes. Was it her? Or just something using her voice? No one had an answer. Zane had already packed his bag. I'm going home, he said. I need to forget this. All of it. You can't forget, Mira said quietly. She was cleaning the floor, collecting shards of glass like they were cursed items. This kind of thing doesn't let you forget. I sat across from the blackened scorch mark where the mirror used to be. Even though the frame was gone, I could still feel something lingering in that space, like a pressure behind my eyes, watching me from just outside the edge of perception. I held my brother's ring in my hand. It no longer felt cold. No more whispers, no more visions. Just a tarnished circle of silver. But I couldn't bring myself to put it down. Later that day, we agreed to go our separate ways, at least for a while. Mira burned the game instructions and buried what was left of the mirror deep in the woods behind her house. She salted the ground and whispered a prayer her grandmother used to say even though she wasn't religious. Just in case, she said. Chris's mom came to pick him up. He looked better, but there was something missing behind his eyes, like part of him hadn't come back. Tasha deleted all the recordings from her phone, even the photos we took before the ritual. I don't want a single trace of that night, she said. I'll deny it ever happened. But I couldn't. Back at home, I tried to go back to normal. School. Work. Sleep. But it wasn't the same. Every night, just before I fell asleep, I heard faint whispers, not words, just sounds like someone standing on the other side of a door, breathing. I started researching mirrors. Not just in folklore, but in science. Some believe they reflect more than just our faces, that they trap energy, memories, and sometimes even souls. I found accounts from others who'd done similar rituals, most of them ended badly. A few never ended at all. And I kept asking myself, what if it really was Brandon? What if I just sent him back to suffer again? But then I'd remember that smile, stretched too wide. That voice, trying too hard to sound like him. And I'd wonder, what if it wasn't him at all? 2 weeks later, Mira called me. There's something you need to know, she said. I went back to where we buried the mirror. You what? Why? I don't know. I felt like something was watching me. Like it wasn't really over. So I checked. I waited, heart pounding. The ground was dug up, like something came out. Not in. Out. My mouth went dry. Do you think someone found it? I asked. No, she said softly. I think it found a way out. I didn't sleep that night. The nightmares came harder, deeper. Mirrors in every room, every reflection smiling at me when I wasn't. My brother's voice whispered from the closet. You called me. I came. But I never called again. I stopped wearing the ring, locked it in a box under my bed. But I still hear it sometimes, tapping faintly against the wood, like something's waiting. It had been a month, 30 full days since we played the game, since we opened the door. I kept telling myself it was over, that we survived, closed the circle, blew out the candles, followed the rules. But the longer I tried to move on, the more I realized whatever we contacted wasn't confined to that one night. It had followed us. Zane was the first to really crack. He messaged our group chat at 3:12 a.m. with a single line, "Do you guys see them too?" I tried calling him. No answer. The next morning, he sent another message, a voice memo 10 seconds long. It was him breathing fast, panicked. In the background, a faint voice whispered his name. Zay, and he deleted his social accounts 2 hours later. Mira and I tried to visit, but his parents said he'd left town, no warning, no forwarding address. Just gone. Then Tasha started seeing things. She called me crying one night, saying every time she passed a mirror, her reflection stayed behind just a little too long. Sometimes it smiled when she didn't. Other times it turned its head to look at something behind her, even when the room was empty. She stopped using mirrors altogether, covered every reflective surface in her apartment with sheets, even the toaster. But it didn't help. She woke up one morning with her own face scratched out of every photo in the house. She moved back in with her parents. She hasn't spoken to us since. And Chris, he never fully came back. He wandered the halls of school like a ghost, staring at walls, barely eating. One day he started drawing endless pages of black ink, spirals, broken faces, doorways, all leading to mirrors. He was hospitalized after he smashed a bathroom mirror with his bare hands, screaming that they were watching from the other side. And me? I pretended I was fine. I told my parents I was just dealing with exam stress. I kept my curtains open during the day, blasted music at night so I didn't have to hear the whispers. But they still came. Not every night, but often enough. Sometimes I'd hear footsteps echoing in my room when I was completely still. Or feel fingers brushing my ankle as I stepped out of bed. Always cold. Always just below my awareness. Once I woke up and found a message on my mirror written in the condensation. You still remember? That's enough. I tried everything, cleansing rituals, burning sage, even smashing every mirror in my house. But the thing is, reflections aren't just in mirrors. They're in windows, in screens, in eyes. You can't escape them. Then one day, Mira called me again, her voice low, serious. Something's coming, she said. I don't think we ended the game. I think we paused it. What do you mean? I've been studying it. This game, it's old. It goes by different names in different cultures, but it always has the same rules. The same goal. What goal? To connect, not just for one night. Forever. It doesn't want to visit. It wants to cross over. A chill crept up my spine. So what do we do? She hesitated. I think we need to finish what we started. For real this time. Not end the connection, seal it. Trap it. Before it finds a way out through someone else. Through who? There was a pause. Jay. I think it already chose you. I didn't sleep that night either. Because she was right. The signs were clearer now. Shadows that moved on their own. Doors that opened when I walked by. Sometimes I'd catch my reflection watching me blinking out of sync. The worst was last night. I found Brandon's ring on my pillow. I hadn't touched the box in weeks. It had been locked. Hidden. But there it was. Cold again. Waiting. I stared at the ring on my pillow for a long time. It wasn't supposed to be there. I had locked it away, sealed it in a wooden box, wrapped it in cloth, buried it under old books in my closet. But somehow it had come back, sitting perfectly centered on my pillow as if placed there. Like a question. Or a demand. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the corner of my room, eyes locked on the ring, phone in hand, waiting for it to move, to twitch, to vanish again. But it didn't. It just waited. The next morning I called Mira. I told her everything, the whispers, the reflections, the feeling that something inside me wasn't mine anymore. I think it's me, I said. I think the game chose me as the door. She was silent for a long time. Then she said, we have one chance. A sealing ritual. It's dangerous. But if it works, we can trap it. For good. I met her that night. Same house. Same room. But everything had changed. She had cleaned, rearranged the space, drawn new sigils on the walls with chalk, salt, and charcoal. In the center was a new mirror, not cracked, not cursed. Pure. Untouched. It has to come willingly, she said. That's the rule. You'll have to offer it something it wants. What does it want? You. Your pain. Your memory. Your connection to Brandon. That's what brought it here in the first place. I nodded slowly. So I'm the bait. She didn't answer. I stepped into the circle. The candles were lit. Not red this time, white. Purity. Light. Protection. She began to chant. The air grew cold again. My breath misted. The shadows leaned closer. And then, I saw him. Brandon. Or at least, something wearing him. He stepped out of the mirror like it was water. No sound. No weight. Just a presence so heavy it pressed against my chest. Jay, he said. You brought me back. My throat tightened. You're not him. He smiled. Not cruelly. Not mockingly. Just sadly. I was. For a moment. You made me remember who I was. You made me real. That's why I need you. You keep me tethered. Mira continued the chant behind me. Louder now. Faster. The ring burned in my hand. I could feel it pulsing, syncing with my heartbeat. You can end this, I said. Let go. His eyes darkened. Or you could stay. Let me through. We'd be together again. Isn't that what you wanted? I shook my head. Not like this. He took another step forward, but the circle flared, stopping him. He screamed, a sound not made for human ears. Something deep and endless. Mira screamed too, pressing her hands to her ears, blood trickling from her nose. I dropped the ring in the center of the mirror. The surface rippled. The thing wearing Brandon looked down at it, then up at me. You'll regret this. Maybe, I said. But I'd rather regret the truth than live with a lie. The mirror shattered again, but this time it didn't explode. It imploded, collapsing inward like a black hole, sucking in the ring, the candles, the voice, the cold. Then silence. Real silence. No whispers. No footsteps. No cold breath on the back of my neck. It was done. Mira slumped to the ground, gasping. Is it gone? I nodded. For now. It's been 6 months since that night. Zane never came back. Neither did Tasha. Chris transferred schools. He sends a message now and then. Short. Vague. Like he's still trying to make sense of what's real. Mira and I stay in touch. We don't talk about the game anymore. We don't talk about the mirrors. But sometimes we'll pause in conversation, stare at a reflection, and just listen. Just in case. As for me, I still miss my brother. I always will. But I know now some doors should stay shut. Some games aren't meant to be played. And if you ever find a board game that claims to connect you with the dead, don't read the instructions. Don't light the candles. And for the love of whatever's out there, don't break the circle. 27.